Hey guys, Roger Wakefield here. I just want to talk to y'all about some of the stuff with a lot of things going around on Facebook. People saying that, it's already over for the Texas State Board of Plumbing examiners, that we're automatically under the TDLR. I actually got an email Friday from the Sunset Advisory Commission stating that the bill still hasn't been written, so it hadn't been put out on the floor, and I will put links into this video or into the notes below and also on Facebook where y'all can look at it. But what I wanted to do really is just go over the things that were recommended by the Sunset Advisory Commission and what is going to be addressed when those bills go. So I'm just going to start out doing that. Those of y'all that saw me on Facebook and saw my video there, you know the things that I've mentioned there, but this kind of digs down into it a little bit more. So the first thing is to abolish and transfer. So it says transfer the regulation of plumbers to TDLR and reconstitute the current board as an advisory board with 8 professional members and 1 member representing the public. So the change that they're making there is they're getting rid of one of the public members and supposedly adding another plumber. Now, this was supposed to be done in their original notes by February 15th, or February 1st, which in their next line says direct the board and TDLR to form a working group by February 1st, 2019 to develop regulatory process and rules and facilitate the transfer of plumbing to TDLR and submit quarterly status reports to the Sunset Commission on the implementation of these recommendations. So guys, they're gonna get more plumbers' voices on the board, even if it is just one more. But there's still board members that hadn't been replaced yet, and this didn't even address that. So I'm not real happy with what the Sunset Advisory Commission has recommended on all levels. Guys, don't get me wrong, there needs to be changes made, and plumbers speaking up to their representatives and senators are how these changes are going to happen. But let me keep going through this, because in licensing, authorize the board to enter into reciprocity agreements with other states and to waive certain requirements for out-of-state applicants, and allow an out-of-state applicant licensed for at least 2 years to obtain the equivalent license in Texas without taking an exam. Now, I don't have a problem with that as long as their testing requirements are as stringent as ours. I don't want Texas to just give licenses to anybody. But guys, I also want to know what y'all think. So please leave messages down in the comments and let me know what y'all think. The next one is authorize the agency to issue temporary licenses to respond to natural disasters. Guys, I think that's great. They're basing a lot of these problems on Hurricane Harvey. Guys, we've never had a storm like that. And they are wanting to go through and upset the entire apple cart just because of one storm that we had. And don't get me wrong, it was severe and Texas needs help and we need help to get through it, and I understand that. But let's not change our entire system just because we had one problem. Let's don't make it where anybody who wants a license in Texas can get one. The next one, direct the agency to eliminate the requirement to have a high school diploma or GED for licensure. Guys, I have no problem with that. If somebody can get out and work in this trade for a living and make a good living at it, it doesn't matter to me whether they graduated high school or not. Some people may have to quit school early in order to support their families or support their parents. There's a lot of different things that could happen, and man, I completely get that. I completely understand it. I don't have a problem with that. That's, like I said, guys, a lot of these things that I'm seeing and I'm thinking, it's no big deal. This could better improve our industry no matter which way we go with it. The next one I like. Require the agency to obtain fingerprint background check for all applicants and licensees. Guys, I have no problem with that. Let's make sure people really are who they say they are, and we can run a criminal background check on them. I believe the TDLR is already doing that. I think that's a great thing. Now, I don't know that I've ever been fingerprinted by them, but I am a certified HVR technician. So, how do they get that? How do we do that? This doesn't go into that. It just says, hey, start doing it. The next one, require an apprentice or tradesman plumber to obtain on-the-job or classroom training before performing authorized tasks under general supervision. general supervision, that word really scares me, and credit any classroom training toward the hours for licensure and any CE requirements. No problem with that. I'm part of the union. Most of y'all know that. I used to be an instructor there. Most of y'all know that. Guys, if the kids going to class, and I say kids, men or women, whatever age, going to class can get credit for those hours, I think that's fair. They're in there to study our trade. I have no problem with that. I think that's actually a good idea. The next one, eliminate the drain cleaner restricted drain, eliminate the drain cleaner restricted, drain cleaner, and residential utilities installer registrations as any statutory requirements for the direct supervision, and instead allow the board to determine supervision requirements for apprentice and tradesman plumbers in rule. So now we're going back to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, the rules. They want the Texas State Board, or whoever the entity is, to be able to go through and say, look, let's change these supervision requirements. This is another one that scares me. This is one where, and guys, I'm a company owner. There would be nothing better for me as a business owner than to say, hey, I can hire 10 tradesmen, call them drain cleaners or whatever they change it to, and put them out there. Now it says they want to eliminate those endorsements on their apprentice card. Here's what I liked about that. As an owner, but also looking out for the tradesman or the apprentice, if I can help get them out earlier and help them make money earlier and make more money earlier, that improves their lifestyle. So I really don't know why they're wanting to eliminate that and then change the statutory requirements for direct supervision. This is kind of miscombobulated, but you know, I don't know that. I'm sure they've got a reason. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now here's the other one that really, I don't get it. Eliminate the responsible master plumber designation and create a plumbing contractor license, similar to other construction trades. Guys, to me, this sounds like a BS way for them to let anybody who wants to get a plumbing contractor license, and then all they've got to do is hire a master plumber. That means this master plumber doesn't have to understand business. He doesn't have to understand everything that the RPM course teaches, which I strongly believe in. But you know what? Some people are for this. I don't get it. I don't understand why. But you know what? It is what it is. Again, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Next one, clarify the board's authority to approve continuing education course content and instructors only. So clarify their authority to approve the content and instructors only. Does that mean they're just going to let anybody start teaching it or what? It doesn't really go into much detail there. So again, this one is kind of up in the air and scary. And by the way, guys, in that last one, it doesn't say anything about grandfathering in RPMs. There's a lot of misinformation out on Facebook and other places saying, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. Guys, I'm reading you directly off the report, and I'll put a link to it in here so you can see it. Here's another good one. Direct the board to simplify the timeframes for obtaining continuing education. Now, I didn't know that there was a problem with the time frame for it. It starts, July? And, you know, if this is just so you can do it online and out of the book, I disagree with that. I think it should be in person because I think you get something by being in a room with other plumbers and sharing information. Part of my reason for this, I know electricians that have their license, even the TACLA certification, air conditioning people, they pay somebody to sit in front of a computer and take it. One of the electricians I talked to says he hadn't done his in 3 years. Guys, to me, we need to find a better way. Don't just make it easy for everybody. Make it right for everybody. Authorize the board to establish annual or biennial license terms in rule. I love that. I think that's a great idea. I shouldn't have to renew my license every year. Let me renew it for 2 or 3 years. Let me do the same thing with my endorsements, which I believe that it also talks about that next. Align the renewal for endorsements with the renewal for licenses. So I like that. That means I can renew my master med gas, my master water supply protection, my master multi-purpose residential fire protection, my RMP. Everything renews at the same time. But that can be 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. I think it's great. Exams. Authorize the board to outsource the creation and administration of its exams. I love that to an extent. I don't like the way this was written. I think the Texas State Board, and I'm one of these plumbers that I think it's a very prideful thing to go to Austin and take your test. I think the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, the physical building itself, should be used for the practical exam. You have to show up, you have to make solder joints, you have to cut cast iron, you have to thread, you have to look at the water heaters, you have to do everything practical. But I think prior to that, you could outsource the written exams, and I think that it could be done in any testing facility, and you don't even get to schedule your practical until you've passed the parts of the written. And I have no problem with that. I think that's great. Here's one thing that kind of feeds with that. Remove the statutory requirement to only have licensed plumbers administer the written portions of exams, but continue to require a licensed plumber to administer the practical portions of the exams, even if outsourced. Now, I have no problem with that as long as the plumbers that have been hired to oversee this practical exam aren't just there for the check. I know plumbers that are instructors in plumbing facilities around the state of Texas that are just there for the check. They'd rather not teach. They'd rather sit and talk sports and all that. And here's my other issue with that. If an instructor is testing a student that went through his program, is he going to be fair or is he going to be more lenient? And is that really a fair system? I like the system we've got. I have no problem with outsourcing the written. I personally think the practical should all still be done in Austin. The next one, to address the exam backlog, direct the agency to establish or partner with third parties to open at least 7 testing facilities by September the 1st of this year. Guys, that's another one. I have no problem with that. I think that's fine, getting the right people on board and making sure that they are doing things right. And also maybe find a way to set it up where they don't get to test the students that came through their programs. I think that's huge. Direct the agency to eliminate or revise exam questions that could implicate a conflict between the International Plumbing Code and the Uniform Plumbing Code. Again, I agree with that. It doesn't matter to me which code you go by. Here in Texas, we have both of them. Guys, it's very important to understand plumbing, but I think that the little crossover between these two, or the little differences between these two, make it where it doesn't matter which code you use, you understand the questions and can do it. Now here's some other ones. Repeal this cumbersome statutory enforcement committee to streamline the enforcement process. Guys, I don't think we have a problem with our enforcement process. I think we have a lack of funding to hire the correct amount of people in order to get out there and enforce what needs to be enforced in the state of Texas. And I think that's huge. I think that is part of our biggest problem. But I also think that there's things that we could do. We could let each individual city, their plumbing inspector, when he drives down the road and sees a plumbing truck, pull over, and if the people aren't licensed, he should be able to write them a ticket. He should be able to get to keep part of the money as the city. So I think that there are different things that we could look at, but I don't want to just repeal the cumbersome statutory enforcement committee. I think we need an enforcement committee, and I think we actually need to expand it and make it better. Repeal the board's outdated and unused authority to issue criminal citations. I don't know that I've ever seen them issue a citation. I know that I have heard of them going out and setting up stings or doing different things. I think there needs to be more of that. But if they can write a citation and they see a problem, I think they dadgum well ought to be able to do it. Next one, eliminate statutory job qualifications for field investigators. Guys, that's another one. I really think that a licensed plumber should be a field investigator. He knows what he's looking at more than anybody who maybe isn't in the plumbing trade. Next one, direct the agency to adopt I'm sorry, direct the agency to adopt a risk-based approach to investigations that prioritizes higher risk complaints over lower risk activities such as job site compliance checks. I'm sure that the way this is worded, some of these big builders that have a lot of money have had that thrown in. That way we keep people off the job sites checking for license. I'm sorry, but if you're going to get out and enforce the rules, let's enforce all of them, not just the ones that the big builders don't want enforced. Direct the agency to use informal settlement conferences. I believe they do that at the board already. I believe that if you've ever been in trouble or if you get a citation, you can communicate with the board, get that reduced in half. So I believe they're already doing something similar to this. The next one, and I really like, direct the agency to publish disciplinary history online. So if you've ever been in trouble, it's going to show up on your license. And I think that's a big deal. Guys, in the beginning of this, I talked about, or on Facebook really, I talked about the 58,000 licensed plumbers, they want low number of plumbers driving prices up to impact the Texas citizens and state economy, this being part of why they're doing it. They're using Hurricane Harvey as a baseline. They do have 1,400 people waiting for exams. I understand it. Let's speed that up. They're not answering 38% of the calls or complaints coming into the office. They're struggling. They have struggles with the stretched staff and resources due to lack of funds. I get that. The board members and leadership staff are not doing their job, but they have asked for more money to do it. Guys, if you read this report, and like I said, I'll have the link in it, the next thing it goes into is fiscal implication summary. Guys, this is what this is all about, money. The Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners brings in $5.2 million a year, but they're only allowed to spend 2.5. As plumbers, we should stand up and complain and say, wait a minute, this is our industry, this is our trade. I don't mind giving the state of Texas money. I don't mind that the state of Texas makes money off of us. But just to take over half of our money and then get rid of our board because some senators and Republicans sitting on their asses in Austin think that they can make it better, guys, it doesn't make it better. This should not be about money. This should be about what's right. And if the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners could spend more money on enforcement, on changing the licensing, on testing, on making things better, guys, I really think that this is something that could be done, and I think it's something that should be done. I hope you like this video. I hope more that you look at the links. I hope that you contact your senators and representatives on the state level and let them know your thoughts. Let them know what you think and what you think should be done. Guys, this is our license they're talking about. This is our future. And you know most of these people in the state of Texas because you've got out and you've worked with them. Guys, I just hope that you are the kind of plumber or apprentice or homeowner or whoever it is watching this video. I hope you let your voices be heard. I'm Roger Wakefield. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you do, leave me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down, but let me know what you think about it. Have a great day.